Welcome to the No Jerry podcast, week 8, back from our little hiatus, back with a lot actually. Weekly podcast by Americans for Americans. We focus on what matters to you as you chase the American dream. Make sure to join our community. Make sure to also hit that like button. Helps us get out to as many people that likes content like this. And make sure to hit that subscribe button and tell people about the pod, but only if they give a shit. If they don't give a shit, don't tell them. What are we getting into today?
Well, buddy, first we've got the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, led by Elon, claiming that Biden-Harris administration handed out over 5 million Social Security numbers to non-citizens, allegedly to flood the voter polls with Democratic support. Then we're uncovering China's rent-a-womb industry, where motels full of pregnant surrogates in California are birthing U.S. passport babies for Chinese couples, tens of thousands of time exploiting a legal loophole. And finally, we're going to break down the wave of Tesla arsons labeled domestic terrorism by Attorney General Pam Bondi, tied to an anti-capitalistic fury over Musk's federal job cuts, plus a wild twist: Obama-era USAID funds allegedly funneled into the Cayman Islands for rent-a-riots, and AOC Bernie Sanders anti-oligarchy rallies exposed by cell phone data.
So rent-a-womb, rent-a-riot. That's crazy.
So they renting everything nowadays, boy. Renting everything but houses in this economy.
That's the only thing they were in. Let's see. Nobody buying. Yeah, shit. Let's go ahead and dive into the 5 million non-citizens and Social Security numbers that the Biden administration issued to them. And when you think about those two states that made it illegal to ask for identification for voting, you're like, well. And then they say on Social Security cards, it says not for voting.
It's like, does that matter? If you don't require ID, can anybody vote? Can 10-year-olds vote? Can fucking small children vote? Who knows? No ID required? Who knows?
I think so.
What's it matter at that point? Well, yeah, so we can dive into that one. We got among much scrutiny, DOGE keeps charging through decades of corruption. In recent years, the Biden-Harris administration blatantly was attempting to flood America with illegal Democratic voters. In 2021, you see 270,000 people. It goes all the way to 2.1 million in 2024. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people and minimum collection. Found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid as an example. They took a sample and looked at voter registration records, and we found people here registered to vote in this population and participated in the 2024 election.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy, boy. That is crazy.
It's wild. It's wild when you look at the many bills the last administration tried to pass, like the Citizenship Act, where they were trying to fast track 3 times the most recorded amount of illegals granted and give amnesty to gang members and STs, which we can't say those words because there's certain words we need to be careful about saying on this platform. It might get us limited on how we reach out to people. STs, as you imagine what that looks like when it's not drug related. There's other things that gets moved across the border. And basically the administration was basically trying to give those kind of people amnesty, and it just shows with defunding the police and all the stuff that they believe in, that they truly have a soft spot for criminals. And that proves it with how much they were lacking in wanting to deport those criminals. And we're not just talking about criminals, like these are violent criminals that they didn't even want to deport, as well as gang leaders as well.
Yeah, 100%. And just the whole defund the police movement was a complete joke. And everybody that was for that movement are the people that would be the fastest to call the police, which is such a crazy even idea to me. They're already underfunded as is, and try to have a movement to make it worse is insane.
Yeah, I always think about Bush, the Congressman Bush, when he's like, if someone breaks in your house, call a crackhead.
Right. Like, come on now.
Yeah, and like you look at like you said, the Biden administration set it up so they had virtually no punishment for illegal entry, and then gave them Social Security numbers based on no verification applications or background checks. And like people say, yeah, there was, but like you really trust them to be efficient in that? And I mean, you just look at what they're non-efficient at with what we know on record, and then you would just, we're going to take your word for it that you are efficient in background checks, and there weren't thousands upon thousands of minors missing across the border as well.
And then They want us to believe that they were efficient in that process when these are the same people that were saying defund the police. If the police is underfunded, I can only imagine what kind of funding the border security was getting under that administration. I would assume it was pretty much nothing.
Yeah, and the big thing too is like this just goes more towards like there was a conspiracy a year ago to say, oh, the left is just letting all these people in to eventually make them voters and be like, hey, we scratched your back, we let you in, now you have to vote for us for the rest of your life. And people are like, oh, that's crazy to assume that. That's complete theory. There's no evidence behind that. And then as days go on, we're just getting more and more evidence that shows, well, there's only two reasons why you would do that. Rather, you want to destroy us from within and or have more voters towards your party. And then you look at what's going on in Europe, and it's kind of like that's where we would have been border wise if dude, are you there?
Yeah.
Letting people roll into the borders, and it's completely putting their actual citizens that's been there, generations of citizens, at a disadvantage. And they're, allowing all these resources to go towards these illegals who are coming in. And it's way more, it's not just refugees that are coming in. Like these are people flooding the borders, and they're allowing it to happen. And I truly believe if we went to the other side in this past election, then now we would be in the same position. Not only that, we would also be pushing Russia and China and Iran more than we already are with Iran, but we'll get into that later. But it's a big thing too, is with how the scrutiny, like there are chances that a civil war breaks out in Europe just because there's just so much. And then we haven't really looked into it much, but how they're trying to prevent certain voted people in and trying to jail them so that way they're not in power. And obviously they don't have a constitution to protect them. So you can kind of see like how crazy the world is if we weren't protected by the constitution. And although the US isn't perfect and we have our flaws, especially in our Congress and money and all that good stuff, all that bad stuff. And when you look at what it could be worse, but when you think about what he was doing with all these social security numbers, these are also people that were getting benefits, right? They were getting Medicaid, they were getting food stamps. And that was part of the corruption and part of the stuff that we need to flood it out because people are getting benefits as well. So, yeah. And then when we roll into this next topic here, do you have anything to finish up on that one?
Yeah, I just wanted to make it a point to say that it's wild because they're given those social security cards which say that you cannot vote, but that doesn't matter when they literally went out of their way for no other reason that would make any sense other than to get those votes to pass laws to make it against the law to ask for ID when you vote. Why would you, what other reason is the point to pass that bill? Everybody that's a citizen has an ID. So why would you not want to have their IDs basically? There's only one reason it seems. I mean, I don't know why else they would do that. So that whole
And it's
argument
yeah.
they have saying that, they say you can't vote on the social security card. That doesn't matter if they don't even care to know who you are when you go to vote.
Well, you know what they say? It's racist to ask for ID. That's literally what the news stations are saying. Back then, especially when like it was a main topic, is that it's racist to ask for identification. So what are you saying? That a certain part of the population are too dumb to get IDs? They don't have IDs?
They shouldn't be able to vote? Like, what are you saying?
It seems like whenever there's not a logical explanation, it always turns to racism or fascism every time.
True, 100%.
So yeah, with this next story, China rent-a-womb industry exposed. Motels full of pregnant women discovered in California, another woke state. Chinese couples are hiring American surrogates and having them give birth to their kids in America. Then the Chinese couple comes over after the birth and takes the kid back to China with a U.S. passport. It's happened tens of thousands of times across the United States. This new rent-a-womb scheme, which is almost more alarming because it is not illegal, it's a loophole.
Yeah, I mean, I personally haven't done too much research into that story, but I just know even just hearing it and the thought of it is just sick. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, it's a loophole. And obviously, that seems like it could turn into a serious problem. And that is something that needs to be investigated and checked in one way or another. I don't know what exactly you would say is the law that's breaking, but it's got to be something. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, and it's the reason why they're doing this is China had a law that specifically stated that they are limited in how many kids they can have, and that was put in place decades ago. And now they're starting to see kind of the negative downfall of that now because their population is actually older. They don't have as much of a young generation. And as time goes on, you're kind of behind the curve. And they're not really they really haven't leaned off that policy in recent history, even though their numbers are dropping as an average age for a nation. So I understand why they're doing it, but it's kind of a gray area because like they kind of have no choice. Um, and depending on the moms, as long as they're not doing it against their will, it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like you live your own life, you make your own decisions. Rather that's the Chinese couple that wants to do that or the American woman that wants to handle the situation. I think it's weird. I think it's definitely weird. I don't know if I call it immoral or illegal. Um, but it's definitely something that it you kind of have to be open about. You can't kind of keep it under the rug. You kind of let the public opinion have its way with it, and how they decide to deal with it. It's how they decide to deal with it. Personally, I don't think it's the craziest thing that we've fucking reported on, but it is a weird thing to do, especially since it seems like California, New York are the kind of states participating in it. So definitely just a little topic there. I seen that exposed last week. Thought it was pretty crazy. But what's really been grabbing the headlines is just this crazy amount of protests against Tesla and Elon, which seems way more artificial than natural when it comes to these protests. And also not just protests. Like these are more than protests. These are clear these are clear. I mean, domestic terrorists. I mean, if you look at what they're doing when it comes to blowing up cars, assaulting people who just have the car. And the crazy thing about the Teslas is majority of the owners are liberal because they were all for the go green, and they bought all these Teslas, and now they're getting vandalized by other liberal. It's just so crazy, all because of Elon, which it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I know you got some notes on that, so I'll go ahead and let you kick that off. And we got some vids we can show too.
Yeah, that whole story is nuts. Yeah, so since early 2025, Tesla properties across the United States have faced a wave of arson attacks and vandalism, often linked to protests against Elon Musk's role in the Trump administration, particularly his leadership of the Department of Government Efficiency, which has led to significant federal job cuts. Attorney General Pam Bondi on March 20th, 2025, labeled these acts as domestic terrorism, as it should be. That's pretty much exactly what the definition of the word means, is what they're doing, announcing charges against 3 individuals, Nelson Lansky and Clark Pounder, each facing 5 to 20 years in prison if convicted. March 18th of 2025 in Las Vegas, 5 Tesla vehicles were set ablaze and shot at in a targeted attack at a Tesla collision center with "Resist" painted on the storefront. March 20th, 2025 in Salem, Oregon, Adam Matthew Lansky, armed with a suppressed AR-15, allegedly threw 8 Molotov cocktails at a Tesla dealership, causing significant damage. He's charged with arson-related offenses. Arsons hurt more people than Elon. Lots of people worked for Tesla and were paid well. Others invested in the stock, including Democrats and large groups. These incidents have escalated from peaceful demonstrations to violent acts involving Molotov cocktails, gunfire, and graffiti. Just exposed this week, Obama pretended to send USAID money to aid foreign countries, but was actually funneling it into Cayman Islands to be used for rent-a-riots. So I'm sure that has not stopped at all, and I'm sure that some of these people have to be tied to those rent-a-riot things. It just, like you said, it doesn't really make sense because I'm not going to say most, but a good portion of these people that were buying the Teslas were the people that were for the Go Green Act and everything. So essentially, these
They're very
people,
pro Elon,
right? And isn't it crazy?
very pro Elon.
We talk about this kind of stuff all the time, just you and I, but it's really crazy to see how just because Elon went to Trump's team, the team that was obviously the forefront to win. So, I mean, it makes sense. That's the way that he could have the most impact. And now their whole tune has changed. Just he didn't change his views or like what he thinks or what has been talking about. That didn't change. He just literally switched sides to the winning team. And then now all of a sudden everybody just completely flipped against him. And this is a hot take, but you heard it here first. You and I talked about it earlier. And I think that the way that the legacy media is portraying things, if shit really hits the fan, I feel like they're going to try to use Elon as their scapegoat. they're going to put all the heat on him and let it roll because the top population basically is already doing it themselves already, and legacy media is just propelling the whole story. So we'll see where it goes, but it's definitely super crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, it's just very easy for people to hate on someone who's rich and famous, especially when you're the richest man in the world. And when people talk about this billionaire shit, dude, blows my mind like there isn't billionaires on both sides of the aisle. And just because one side has a more popular billionaire than the other side, Soros, and you have all these people, like I've kind of developed callous to the legacy media in the sense of like anyone that they're dragging through the mud 24/7 makes me kind of be like, why are they? There has to be something behind it. Is he really doing? And like, don't get me wrong, there's debates on Doge and how efficient they're really being. They're making mistakes. Everybody knows that. But the most important thing that they're doing is they're starting the conversation about corruption in the government and where our taxpayer dollars are going. And yeah, they're not going to be perfect. Are they going to reach the 2 trillion goal of cuts that they're reaching? Maybe not. Shoot for the stars, land on the clouds. But it's starting the conversation where, 4 years from now at the next election, there's going to be conversations on like, okay, that was a good step. It started the conversation, but we can do more. And I mean, we can even go into, let me go ahead and share my screen here and we can show just the hypocrisy in the legacy media and the people that oppose Elon and what he's doing in Doge. And it just all begins. And you kind of see where it begins when it comes with like Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi, the biggest talking heads for the Democratic Party. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and hopefully it goes smoothly.
Policy of unfettered, further what they have said.
Okay.
Further, what they have said is that we need to not worry about manufacturing in America because what we should establish is a policy of unfettered free trade. We don't need tariffs. What we need is to allow corporate America the freedom to throw American workers out on the street, people who are making 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, healthcare, pensions, throw them out on the street because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America and good paying jobs in America as we shut down plants. We move to China, corporations there pay workers 20, 30 cents an hour, and we bring the product back into this country. And anyone who goes shopping in a mall knows how difficult it is today to find the product made in America. But that is the philosophy. And I have to say in that regard, the champion, and he is honest on this one. Senator McCain has been criticized recently for not being the most honest candidate we have seen in terms of his ads and so forth. He has been honest on this one. He is the lead advocate of unfettered free trade. And that's an also important part of this right-wing ideology, that it is good for America that corporations can go to China and bring products back into this country.
Yeah, man. Let me go back to that real quick and go ahead and pull up Miss Pelosi. Crazy ass.
To go. How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention to...
So yeah, she continues to go on through a chart and then continues to plead the case on why we should not be giving up so much to other nations when it comes to production. And they just continue to contradict, and this was her in 1996, and the clip that we showed before that with Bernie was in 2008. So it just shows they assume people are not going to remember what they said. They don't know that the internet has receipts. And to continue on to preach this narrative that they're pushing, and they're all pushing the same one, it should just go to show the hypocrisy and the dickheads that drive down my street like maniacs.
So just to confirm, Bernie was saying that we should get rid of American jobs and take them to China to save money.
So he was criticizing, since in 2008, John McCain was facing Obama in the primary, and John McCain was a Republican who was supporting jobs going overseas to make products cheaper for Americans. And Bernie was saying that that was something that he needed to, that was like not a good thing, basically. And that's what the Democrats back then was preaching. And it's just, I mean, that's just what it's all about. We've harped on this tariff thing in the last almost every episode since we started, and it's just to talk about how when you are the superpower and you're the biggest consumer in the world, you should not be getting charged more than what you're charging other countries. And the whole idea about why we pay more than what countries pay us was after World War II, we did that as we're the superpower. We're going to help build up everybody so that way they can get to a point where they can establish themselves in the free market. But we're still on that shit from back then. And now these nations have built themselves up, and now we're still having the same amount of tariffs. And it's just, it doesn't make sense. A lot of economists, and even if you talk about the greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett, loves Trump's economic plan when it comes to tariffs. And ain't nobody smarter in money than Warren Buffett. So people can have that debate all they want, but that man sold he's been sitting cash heavy and sold all his stuff almost 2 years ago now. And this looks like the most genius thing he did. So when you look at that and you kind of just think about the hypocrisy and all, especially when it comes to these people who are protesting Tesla, it's like Tesla literally is the leader in EV and you guys are pro-green. So you guys are wanting to go against that. And I got some stuff here where it's at, go ahead.
Just to touch on that and what is so crazy, they've already reversed basically the Go Green bill. So these other companies that have been making EVs, Chevy, Ford, all the big ones, they are going to heavily go away from EVs now because they don't sell anyway. They're going to go away from them back to V8s and everything else like the normal people want. And the only EVs they're going to be able to buy is Tesla. That's like the only company besides like Rivian and a couple more that are strictly on EVs. So they're just basically destroying the only vehicle and the only company that is pushing the narrative that they allegedly want more than anything. So it makes no sense. The whole thing is hypocritical.
Yeah, and it's them not going past like the surface, not going past the surface. And go ahead.
And just all of that, bro, is just a lack of critical thinking. Like, they're doing this strictly to oppose Elon Musk. It's nothing against Tesla. These people have nothing bad or any mal towards Tesla. It's all basically to go against Elon. And it's like, how does that make any sense?
It's humans, bro. Tribalism at its finest. And you can go into cults, you can go into all that. But I mean, it just shows. And like I said, per estimates from the Circular Energy Storage and MIT Climate Portal, burning the batteries in Tesla, which is what they're doing, adds another layer of emissions, potentially doubling its life cycle carbon footprint in a single event. The lithium ion batteries fires burn hotter up to 2,700 degrees and they last longer than gasoline fires, making them harder to extinguish and increasing pollutant release. Firefighters often lack specialized training or equipment, exacerbating runoff and exposure risk. So not only are you hurting Tesla, you're not directly hurting Elon. You're hurting Tesla. You're hurting the owners of Tesla, who a majority of them are liberals. And then you're also making it more dangerous on the firefighters and making their job 10 times harder when they're already underfunded and they're already understaffed and they already have a million problems. And like, people can have their debates and their ridicules about police, bro. But firefighters and EMTs and all, like, those are like high regard. Like, you got to help them out as much. And I'm on the camp of helping police too, but when it comes to firefighters and EMTs, like, you're hurting so much more being a POS than, just I don't know, using that energy somewhere else. Why are we not protesting our government's ties to foreign governments that we can't even mention without getting taken off? Which we'll get into that next week's episode. I'm trying to save a lot of that for next week because it's a big topic and we're gonna have to dance around words so we don't get censored. basically.
Right.
And it's not that the government's censoring us in this administration. With that being said, it's just all this energy that they're pouring into this. It's like you could be using that towards something else. And like, even then, the biggest thing is, aren't you guys supposed to go to work? Do you guys have jobs? Because all I see is retired people and college age people.
Yeah, and they don't got to go to work when they're paid by some third party company to be there.
And all that stuff's coming out now. So even, and then let's, we're talking about the batteries and what they do. Firefighting efforts often use large amounts of water, up to 30 to 40,000 gallons for just one EV fire, compared to 500 to 1,000 gallons for just a regular gas car fire. Tesla batteries contain metals like cobalt, nickel, and magnesium. I'm not even going to try to say that word. During a fire, these metals can vaporize or form particulate matter, settling into soil and water systems. This contamination can persist for years, harming ecosystems and potentially entering the food chain. So it completely is backwards from the whole party's goal. My whole life was to push this EV. Oh, we hate Trump because he don't care about the environment. Do you guys really care about the environment? I can't fucking tell.
No.
So
And
there's just a hypocrisy on that one side.
It's really sick, bro, when you think about it. And it's like their whole thing, it's supposed to be all peaceful protests and this and that, but they're literally out here keying people's cars and stuff just because of the brand of car they own. Like, keying one person's car does not affect Elon Musk in the slightest. All it does is affect that person's life, who probably works really hard to pay for that car. They're not cheap, and they're just, and it's their own people, basically. That's the craziest part of it.
Yeah. Blows my mind, dude.
I got a video we can share right here just because of what we've been talking about. Here's a video of a lady keying a Tesla right here with her kids. Kids flip off the camera. They know it's there. Look at it. There's no shame in that game.
That shows, man. It just shows
Crazy.
it's just like the hate on that one side of like. And I will say this, bro. Like, we're gonna get into it next week about how both sides are at fault for a lot of things. But I will say, when Biden won the election in 2020, you didn't see any of this shit, and they were gloating. They were gloating hard. They said, "Hold that L." Biden won. You cry about it. You Trump lovers cry about it. And you didn't see Republican Congress people completely shutting down. We're not going to help you guys do anything. We're just going to completely go against you.
No, and literally, we all knew that it was rigged. The numbers were inflated as could possibly be, and it still wasn't anything like it is now. That's crazy to think about.
So yeah, we got more videos for you. We got this guy who keyed this guy's car, but then he tracked the guy down and confronted him, and you just see live this guy completely fold. Let's go ahead. Oh, dude, he's so funny too.
I can wipe free service.
Free service. How about you pay for the repairs? Write a check. You just bought a Tesla.
I can wipe it off with
No,
a towel.
no,
It's not
no.
a key.
It is a
It was
hate crime,
it was
sir.
a crayon.
It is a hate crime.
Listen,
Did you write a swastika on
I'm
there?
sorry you're upset.
Did you write a swastika?
It didn't even work. Apparently it doesn't work.
Did you write a
The crayons
swastika
don't
on
work.
It's a key, sir. We see it on the video.
It's not a key.
Is it a
I was probably
swastika?
putting my keys in my
Is it a
pocket.
swastika?
Have you looked at your
Is
car?
it a
Is there a key mark?
Yes. Is it a swastika?
That's
It's at the
impossible.
police right now. It's being fingerprinted.
What do you mean it's being fingerprinted?
Because they're trying to track you down. Thankfully, Facebook tracked you down. So your business, your freaking livelihood, everything now,
Listen,
because you chose to write so
Something's
you
going on
tell
at his house.
Facebook that you're sorry for writing a swastika on a Tesla.
Listen, I said I'm sorry.
For what?
And I
For what?
apologize.
For what?
I have nothing against
For
your
what?
car, and I have nothing against you.
So why
Okay.
would you write a
Disregards my
swastika
fucking-
on a Tesla?
Obviously, I have something against Elon Musk, but that's not the way
Elon
to
Musk
show my.
owns that car because
No,
it was
he
bought
owns
and
the
paid
company.
for. It was bought and paid for a long time
That's
ago.
why it's misguided, and obviously, I did not intend to do this.
All right,
sir.
we're gonna wait for the.
Well, obviously, buddy, you did intend to do that because you don't just key somebody's car on accident. So just because you got caught, now they want to flip their narrative, dude. That is hilarious.
Yeah, it's just so disrespectful, dude. Like, these people work hard for their things, and it's basic morals. So basic. We learned this shit in kindergarten. You get respect that you give. That's the golden rule. And
treat others the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. And then you see these people get confronted and they fold, completely fold. Like, stand on that shit. If you got busted, been like, yeah, fuck you, fuck Tesla. But no, they fucking folded because they don't want to stay. They're Twitter warriors. Twitter fingers, Twitter warriors, whatever
And
you want to
bro,
call
it just comes down to everything else associated with that side. They have no rhyme or reason. And this is me, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Republican, but that side
I mean, if people were to have listened to the stuff we believe in, we are hardcore libertarian.
Yeah, and they literally, it just goes to show they don't have reasoning for most of the things they do. They can't tell you policies. They can't tell you much of nothing. And just like that guy, oh, it was misguided. Oh, this is what all my friends are doing. Legacy media is like, yeah. It's nuts, bro. It's nuts. When you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it makes no sense at all.
No, not at all. So yeah, that's basically it on the Tesla stuff. While that's going on, we also have AOC and Bernie Sanders having rallies across the nation in swing states, exposing the oligarchy that's going on in the country. They're just trying to campaign for 2028. They don't have a face to their party. They don't know who's going to win the Democratic primary, if they even have one. I mean, that's up for debate. But yeah, the big thing that got exposed actually was, now that we have cell phone data and everybody has a cell phone and it's always in their pocket, cell phone data got exposed just recently, since our last episode, that since the 2025 inauguration, the same cell phone tracking, before the inauguration, even back to the Kamala rallies, where there was speculations on protester, like pro Kamala people getting bussed in from other states and stuff like that. Cell phone data linked those phones to all the protests, and also these rallies held by AOC and Bernie Sanders. So when you have that come out, and then the rent-a-riot stuff come out, you really wonder, like, how much of this stuff is artificial, right? And it's clear stuff. Like, these are clear tactics that are not even the craziest thing that the intelligence agencies or parties of the government have tried before in the past. Is the same old page from their book. And now we have more evidence and data that we've ever had. And it just goes to expose it too, because it says right here, 84% of the people have gone to 9 or more rallies: Kamala Harris rallies, Antifa rallies, BLM rallies, pro-Hamas rally, and pro-Palestinian rallies. 31% of them have attended over 20 rallies. Sanders noted that Trump had failed to fill the same venue during a pre-election visit in 2024, underscoring the comparative draw of this event in Arizona. And they're saying, oh, they're filling stadiums, but they're like high school stadiums. So it's like very like, that's the biggest thing about the news. It's not that it's not what they're telling you, it's what they're not telling you. Like, there is so much of lack that they tell you, like, oh, this is what this is, but it's like, that's not the full story.
Yeah,
I want the full clip. I don't want this 10-second clip. I want the full minute 20 of what that person said.
Yeah, and it's not, and withholding part of the truth is just as good as lying. And filling like Madison Square Garden is a lot different than filling like a girls' high school lacrosse stadium, which is what they're doing. So
that's what it was. You're right. High school lacrosse.
It's nuts, bro. God, it's like comical at this point. Like, I can't I need personally to go watch like some of those rallies and stuff just to see, but like, I can't imagine what they're really talking about, what they're really exposing.
Oh, so we can go ahead and dive in this a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Dude, of course she says mother in the first part of the video, dude. Hold on. This shit's so funny, dude. These people at these, I'm telling you, if you want to learn anything about either party, just watch street interviews of these people at these rallies. You'll learn everything you need to know. Okay.
I is a fake ass cowboy motherfucker. Where's your 10-gallon fake hat?
You all that bullshit. There's your soundbite, you little weird internet troll.
My sign says, if you want to know how fascism ends,
this is him.
Hung him, right? Yep, they hung him by his feet from a lamppost. That's exactly what every fascist deserves. The only good fascist is a dead fascist.
Now, are you calling for that to happen to our president right now?
I believe that the minute that Donald Trump decided to start ignoring judicial orders, he gave up the right to be the rightful president of the United States. He's an enemy of the nation. And yes, I'd like to see him hung by his feet by a lamppost. So I'm kind of sick and tired of all these Democrats running around talking about, here's what we're going to do to win. Motherfucker, they're not going to let you take office. The only way we're getting Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or his ilk out of power is having tens of millions of people in the streets. And we're going to have to have a few thousand people die at the hands of cops and soldiers before people get outraged enough to actually force the government to resign.
A beheaded Donald Trump, are you calling for his death?
I am, yes. I believe it's time that the people straight cut his fucking head off.
Jeff Hunt, 710
Like said, bro,
KNU.
they're masked up 'cause
Sunrise
they're
today in
terrified to face
Colorado.
the
Then there
repercussions of
must
what
be
they're doing.
another leftist protest, and this time Friday night, Civic Center Park. Bernie Sanders, AOC, teaming up with all the Colorado pothead progressives. It's going to be a wild night, and we're bringing it all to you right here.
Yeah, he needs to chill out.
Denver communists are back. Tell me what your shirt is all about.
Yeah, so it says, "But Daddy, I love him," and it's a picture of Luigi Mangione.
And he's the guy that shot the executive for the healthcare company, right?
Yeah, the CEO of the healthcare company. So yeah, I just think he's like a guy that's kind of bringing people together. Like all the classes need to like get together against the CEOs of the country. I don't know.
Of healthcare and other CEOs, but he committed murder. Doesn't it give you any pause?
So does the CEO every day that's denying healthcare to all these people. So one person against millions of people. So
But you wouldn't necessarily call for violence, would you? Are you supporting violence?
I think there's the people in power, that's all they're going to listen to at this point. I feel like we've done the rallies, we've done all these things, and they don't listen. And that was something that finally got people to listen. So I personally don't. But if that's what we need to do for people to listen, then that's what we need to do.
So this is the Bernie Sanders AOC rally here at Civic Center Park, starting to fill up. There's a wall protecting this rally. Look at this wall. And you got to go through metal detectors. So they want to keep some people out. That's kind of interesting.
The rallies, but not around our country.
Here's the wall built around the Bernie Sanders AOC rally.
The intimidation of judges right now for making decisions that Trump does not like. And he and Musk are weaponizing our democracy.
And did you feel the same way when they threatened like Alito and Kavanaugh and the rest of the folks?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This picture right here happened under Biden. My suggestion is telling them to stop funding Israel.
So tell me what your shirt says.
Might have been the smartest thing I've heard
So it's abortion is healthcare. So
help me understand what you mean by abortion is healthcare, because it seems to be the death of a child, doesn't it?
No, I'm a nurse.
When does life begin?
I think life begins more so when a baby can actually survive in the NICU, which, I mean, for the most part, usually isn't until at least like 22, 23 weeks. Yeah. Before that, I mean, I'm all for having like a restriction at a certain time because, I mean, in some states, it's, you know, somebody's who less than 10 weeks pregnant can't get an abortion. At that point, some women don't even know you're pregnant.
So is there a moment then that abortion doesn't become healthcare?
I mean, I think if a baby is like fully developed, first of all, if the baby is going to survive.
You know what they do? They hang that Confederated flag, that red, white, and blue.
It's okay.
It's okay. Blue? It's
Confederate?
Confederated.
There's a
Illuminati. On the money.
Do you want to get money out of politics?
Do I want to get Elon Musk out of politics? Yeah, the world's richest man, the most influential in history, is now calling the shots.
What has he done that really bothers you?
He's arrogant, drugged up, naive.
60 years, USAID, billions of dollars. Do you think it made an impact in the world?
You know,
Bro, they don't even know why they're there, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying, bro. So I've talked about it before, but big thing is when before the election, I want to say like in August, September timeframe, Morgan and I went out for her birthday and we were at the bar just chilling, having food and drinks. And we got to talking about politics. And when I talk about something I'm passionate about, I was talking about how Kamala is grossly underqualified to be the Democratic primary. And it proved when she got waxed in the Democratic primary originally and when she lost to Biden, and a fellow had walked in and he had heard my conversation about Kamala and decided to go to the other side of the bar instead of sitting next to us. And she had mentioned that to me. And I was like, I mean, he has his right to do that. Just like I have my right to express how I feel about the situation. He has his right. I don't feel offended. I'm not going to be like, why'd you move, dude? I did.
You don't want to sit by me,
Like,
bro?
You don't want to come over here, hold my hand, dude? And so, but she had mentioned that, like, back then, and she's 100% right. Back then, I was gung-ho on left bad. And I was really kind of just so focused on the left that I kind of just, anything the right did, I wasn't even paying attention to. And when I was like, okay, like I need to hear the other side before I cast this vote. Like I need to listen to a couple Democratic podcasts. There's not that many. A couple street interviews. I want to hear these people at these rallies. And it's the most informing thing you can do is watch these people at these rallies. And, you know, there's as many delusional people on the right as there are the left. But when it comes to logic, there was more facts on why Kamala was a bad candidate and why the Democratic Party having power was detrimental to the country. And I believed that before I looked into the research heavily, and I still believe that to this day post the election.
Yep, I agree. And I think, you know, I still can't tell you any policy that Kamala talked about. And I watched pretty much a lot of interviews she had because, like you said, there wasn't very many. And she basically always avoided the question about policy and what she was going to change, how she was going to differ from Biden. So, I mean, that kind of stuff told me all I needed to know.
And I mean, that's just what, and like, don't get me wrong, dude. There's some things that we're going to talk about next week that Trump just pisses me off, dude. And there's things I don't like. But there are things that he does that are great for the country. And there's not many good things that Kamala's going to be able to do, especially like you said, when they asked her, what would you do different than the administration you were just a part of? She said, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. Probably just do it all the same. She didn't say the last part, I'll do it all the same, but that's literally all she said. There's nothing that comes to mind. You're a terrible politician because you couldn't even lie. Can't even lie good. And then you see here where literally, bro, these are some of the notes. I just found this. Got to show this for a second. Just someone put this on a car, bro. And it's like, come on now.
That's sick, dude.
Musk, dude. Imagine getting that on your car, dude.
Dear Trumpster. Like we said, the person that bought that car, it probably does not even fucking like Trump. Dude, and they're all just mad because Elon gave us a place to actually have free speech with X. So now all their shit comes to light on there.
On there too. I really do try to get them on there. Just like, and people are like, oh, I do Facebook, but I don't tweet. I don't Twitter. I'm like, dude, you just don't realize you gotta get with the curve because you got people can go on there and set guidelines because you're gonna see some crazy stuff like, you know, an animal killing another animal or other like crazy car accidents. Like you can put limits on that stuff, but like it truly is like free speech in the sense of like everything gets posted, good and bad.
Right.
And it also is like the quickest route for information.
Right. And it's not all the meta apps has fact checks and everything else, which now Twitter has started to make, or X has started to make it to where, you know, they'll put some stuff on a post sometimes if it's like completely off or whatever. You know, it's nice. It's better for it to be free, you know, and you have to critically think on if it's good information or false information rather than just not even being able to get the information at all.
Right. I will say this happened in our home state just recently, just to show the craziness on top of what we are. This happened in Indianapolis at a bar. And this just kind of shows, bro, like the craziness in I'm messing up, dude.
Why?
Because you're a Trump supporter.
I know, but don't you guys want our money?
No, actually, we don't. Get out of my bar right now.
You're not welcome.
I'm not fucking around. Get out of my bar.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Out.
Because I'm wearing a Trump
Yes.
hat. That's wild.
I don't care. Get out.
We can call the police, or you can just leave. You know this is like discrimination, right?
Oh, boo-hoo! Boo fucking hoo! Get out of my bar.
Hey, I have a question.
And if roles were reversed, and they did that shit the other way around, it would be a whole ordeal across the country.
Exactly, dude. And that happened just here in Indianapolis.
I
mean,
will
not
say,
here, I'm not in Indianapolis, but
yeah, I wouldn't want to go to that bar anyway at that point. But that's sick,
and
bro.
It's so baseball. But I never understood when people are like, my restaurant, my bar, and they're an employee. That blows my mind.
Right? It's like, bro, you're probably getting paid $250 an hour, and you're willing to lay your life on the line to fucking keep a Trump supporter out of this bar. That's nuts.
Yeah, this being probably got fired after this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a bar to go to in Indy, shout out Loft Millers, banger
for real.
Great food, and it's a political bar, baby.
Okay, so let's jump into this last story. We've been kind of DIing around. So big discovery. Even though the media won't tell you it's a big discovery, it's just ginormous, huge, the hugest. Literally, what lies beneath the Giza pyramids? Shocking discoveries could rewrite history as we know it. What you got on that?
Okay, so here's the notes I got on this Giza pyramid deal. So,
yeah, I'd be going.
In the past week, as of March 23rd, 2025, there has been significant buzz about a reported discovery beneath the pyramids of Giza, particularly under the Khafre Pyramid. Reports circulating online suggest that a team of researchers used synthetic aperture radar (SAR) technology to uncover a vast subterranean complex. Describes a network stretching approximately 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles beneath the Giza Plateau, featuring 5 multi-level structures near the base of the Khafre Pyramid, connected by geometric passageways. Below these, eight vertical cylindrical wells encircled by spiral pathways are said to descend 648 meters, over 2,000 feet, into the bedrock, leading to 2 large cubic structures about 80 meters wide, half a mile for both cubes. Tesla died alone and penniless, and the moment after he died, they took all of his research.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is like the theories and all this. Actually, I'll wait to get into that. The scale of this discovery will require way more evidence and excavation, which had not been reported. The Egyptian government is actually really trying to discredit all of this and trying to prevent excavation. So it really is going to be some time, if ever we get any more information, just because even if you go to Egypt, you cannot talk about any conspiracy theories or discredit the theory that Egyptians built this with their bare hands, which anybody who's credited does not believe that, and anybody who's conspiracy theorist does not believe that. And when you look at this photo, like this is the actual photo here of these drums, and a lot of scientists have kind of just looked at what that could be, and they're trying to think about the pillars that are under it. And I cannot find the one photo I'm looking for, but with it kind of here it is. So when you have these cylinders here, they know that something's spiraling around these cylinders, right? They say it could be staircases, could be copper, could be a number of things. The reason I say copper is there is a theory that the pyramids were used long time ago to basically it was a energy generator, right? And that's something that Tesla was kind of scratching into before JP Morgan stripped all of his funding and made him super poor. And then after he passed away, after he was sick and passed away, they took all of his studies and findings. So, yeah, and I got some notes here of kind of what I dove into. So the Khafre project team reportedly plans to pursue excavation, but permission from Egypt's government are pending, leaving the story as tantalizing possibility rather than confirmed fact for now. So like a lot of people across the world believe that the pyramids were used as the ancient source of free energy, acting as giant batteries used by ancient civilization that has been hidden from you and wiped from the history books. Egyptians discovered the pyramids and tried to mimic them with smaller ones around it that don't hold up as strong, and while also refacing the Sphinx, putting it as a humanized head over what was there prior. Nikola Tesla was fascinated with the Giza pyramids. He believed the pyramids could send energy wirelessly, a concept that later became the inspiration for his Wardenclyffe Tower. The goal was to use the towers and generators to use the Earth's ionosphere as a source of energy. When presenting this to JP Morgan, he was shut down as free energy would be detrimental to JP Morgan's businesses, all of them. That's when Tesla continue to lose, just lose the will to live, because like that was his life, and now he don't have the money to fund his experiments and his studies. So everyone talks about the same geniuses, Einstein, Newton, or Hawking, but there's one man who stands above all, and it's Tesla. And sadly, his legacy was a heartbreaking tragedy. This information allowed by the Egyptian government will determine how the story is told. Big pharma is scary, for sure, but big energy is the biggest one. You can go down the whistleblowers, you can go down the list of people who've developed cars that run off water, cars that run off nothing, and those people are not here with us today. And it just when it comes to the pyramid itself already being a complete anomaly in how it was built based off the technology we were told that they have by historians, to find out that they've dug this far even lower, to have this completely system. And this isn't even the biggest pyramid, bro. This is like the second biggest pyramid out of the three. And then there's also SAR data that they believe that there's a whole underground network of cities in Egypt that's all under the Giza. So it's just more stuff, man. And it just goes to show, like, we really don't, like, the history that we are told, there's so much more than that. And I think our history is actually way older than what they want to tell us. Rather, what's in the Vatican, what history was destroyed hundreds and thousands of years ago. There's just more. Yeah, it's just more questions to ask.
Yeah, 100%. Not to change subject or anything, but I just found these notes from last week that I feel like we needed to I just need to say this real quick before it's no longer relevant.
Yeah, we can, the pyramid, that's about it for the pyramids. We can roll on through.
Okay, I just needed to say about how the New York Times falsely reported that Elon Musk would be briefed at the Pentagon on a war with China, which that was a dangerous lie that could have resulted in global catastrophe, and they need to be held accountable for that, because that's not even what happened at all, but that was their headline. So that's nuts. And that kind of thing can't be happening. That's like too big of a platform to be putting such false news out is just unacceptable, and somebody needs to be held accountable for that for sure.
Yeah, and I got some notes on that here too, that it's just like, so it's also the stuff that they put out, which is the news media, the stuff that they put out is 100% fact, cannot be false. If Trump drops a chart, on Liberation Day drops a chart, people are instantly coming out, oh, that's false. None of those percentages are real. Oh, anything that Elon does or Trump does, they automatically try to discredit it. So either they're lying about everything, or they're pick and choosing the mistakes that they're making and saying, oh, well, now they're completely discredited because they made a mistake here, they made a mistake there, which is stuff they need to fix. But like, the biggest argument point that they have is what? That they're going to take away Social Security and Medicaid, right? Medicare as well. And that's even something in my family that they talk about, where it's like, how do you feel about it? Kind of get my opinion. And, I just don't buy it. I don't, it's been clear that they want to get rid of the people that are abusing the system. There are people claiming Social Security that are not around anymore. Yeah. That is the goal. If someone gets taken on Social Security or Medicaid or Medicare and they're qualified to have it, then it will be swiftly given back to them. And like, that's the whole thing, is like, because they're not doing 100% perfect job doesn't mean they shouldn't be doing it at all, which is what kind of the narrative is that they're pushing. It's like, oh, they're actually not as good as you think. And it's like, but they're starting the conversation. Like I said earlier, they're starting the conversation, and that will create ripple effects on what that looks like with ending government corruption and just becoming a more profitable nation when it comes to using taxpayer dollars, which actually affects us every day.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, why are they pushing that so hard? Is it just so they can have some kind of potential leg to stand on to go against them? Or is it more so that money is being used in a way to which somebody is benefiting from it, and they want them to push that narrative so that way they can keep that money flowing? And whatever it is, the narrative is just false. Like, they've come out and said multiple times that they're not looking to get rid of any of those programs. They are reforming them from processes of which they currently do that are ancient and needs reform. Like you said, they're starting the conversation. If we didn't start reforming these processes, they would stay ancient, and there's no reason for them to, when we literally have AI and all these other things that could do these processes substantially faster with minimal to zero, mistakes. So I think it's all crucial what's being done, and we'll see the benefits from it sooner than later.
Yeah, and we'll kind of end on this video here, where it just kind of shows the kind of people that they're trying to get off of these programs that are abusing it. And like I said, we have right views, we have left views, we have things that we agree with. There's things that, and we'll get into it next week, that there's a certain topic that's like really taboo to talk about, where I'm actually on the left side a little bit. I kind of lean left on this topic. And there's things when it comes to AB and what women should be able to do with that decision, I lean left in that matter. So there's just certain things that people, just because we're pro-Trump in some cases, and like super pro-Elon, which we both are, that doesn't mean we're hardcore Republicans. Just because we voted Republican doesn't mean we're registered as Republicans. And so just kind of go into it. We'll go ahead and pull this video up here, and it just kind of shows the kind of abuse they're trying to prevent.
And the thing is about us on political sides or parties is just like people need to be open-minded to everything. You shouldn't put yourself in that box to say,
exactly,
I'm a Republican,
or other people.
Right, or I'm a Democrat, and that is it, and I'm going to ride with whatever they say. Nobody should think that way. Everybody
needs to
needs
divide that way.
Yes, and that's what they want, but everybody needs to be critically thinking about what everybody says, one side or the other.
100.
Okay, y'all just mad because I get 3 canned food stamps. So what? I get all kinds of snacks while I'm sitting here chilling or whatever, paying no bills. No bills. I'm on government assistance. My son back there with his snacks. Government assistance, 3 canned food. Okay, y'all just mad because I get 3 canned food.
That's sick.
She right. I'm mad.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's people out here that can't even get food stamps while they're paying the rest of their bills, and that's why groceries are tight. But that fucking lady's getting $3K for what? Because she wanted to pop out 47
and
kids.
Housing.
Yeah, that's sick.
And housing, bro. And that's literally the 2 most expensive things that people pay for: housing and food.
That's something we can't even really get into too much, because I'm gonna start cussing, getting mad.
I'm gonna get mad. So yeah, man, we'll wrap it up. Next week we'll have some good videos, some more stuff to rope into. We kind of just wanted to get this thrown in here. We've been gone for a little bit, dealing with some stuff in our own lives. But it feels good to be back, man. It feels good to kind of just touch on things. Next week's episode, we're going to dive into a very taboo topic, where some people are not going to agree with what we say. Some people are going to agree, and some people are going to wake up to it. 3 people that watch our channel, but
hey, we got 8 subscribers. Chill. Shout out to all 8 of you guys. Shout out
all 8. Make sure to hit that like button on the video.
Comment, say something crazy, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a certain stance? Do you agree with Doge? Do you disagree with Doge? How do you feel about our economy right now? Stocks and a lot of things are in the toilet. But we talked about this last pod. It's a buying opportunity. And actually, I just seen a study today. It's not financial advice, but hedge funds, 401k managers are selling, but independent buyers are buying at all-time highs. So leave that with what you be with it. I think everybody's not financial advice. I think everybody should be cash heavy right now and start averaging in. This year and next will be the best time to start a Roth or any other investment channel that's tied to the markets. And average in at your best, put in what you can afford to lose. And I think we're going to have the next 2 years the best buying opportunity in our economy. And I guarantee you, just like any other time, the markets go down and they'll be back. And when they're up, you'll never think they'll be down again, but they will.
And I love to say that the stock market, not the crypto market per se, but the stock market going back up is about just as certain as death and taxes. Every time it goes down, it bounces back. So don't let the red scare you. If you got money in now, it looks really scary, but it's going to come back. So don't panic sell. That's when you lose money. You don't lose money in stocks until you sell. So if it's red, let it ride.
And if you believe in Elon and Tesla and, the stuff that, there's hedge funds, a hedge fund manager, one of the more famous ones. I can't remember her freaking name. She is all in on Tesla. She thinks that the stock price of it being around $200 is going to be worth over thousands in the future because of not only the stuff they're doing with EV, but the other technology that they're investing in. So if you believe in Elon, you believe in Tesla, you believe in that technology, as well as this administration being pro-Tesla, this might be the biggest buying opportunity, not financial advice, biggest buying opportunity to get into stock like that, as well as NVIDIA. If you're into microchips, NVIDIA is at lowest point it's been in a long time. That's been one of the highest propped up stocks in the last couple of years, and it's at a great buying opportunities. I don't know if people are even into that stuff, but when you leave your money to the hedge fund managers in your 401k, this is the stuff they do. They panic sell because fundamentally it makes more sense for them than to invest even more. So we'll get into that topic in the future about financial independence and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, I guess we'll go ahead and cap it off. You got any final thoughts?
No, just make sure everybody is out. Everybody be critically thinking about everything that you're hearing. Don't take anybody's word for this or for that. Do your own research. Get off of Google and keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, if you got any questions you want to ask us, by all means, you can message us, comment at the bottom. We'll try to provide resources, videos, sources, anything we can do to best answer your question. If we don't know the answer, we'll tell you. We won't beat around the bush.
No, and that's just another thing that I feel like it's important that we say. We are not really so in the business of changing people's minds or arguing. We listen to all sides of every argument. So if you disagree with anything we say or anything, please comment it. We may address it in the next video or whatever, but it's always a discussion. That's the big thing. It doesn't need to be a divide because we think differently. It's always just a discussion.
Right. Stick to the facts. Stick to the facts. People lie, facts don't.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all be safe, and we'll be back next week for week 9.
Yes, sir.
Gang, gang. All right. See you guys.
Gang, gang.